Welcome, everyone. This is docket 9713 FG 2022. It's the docket related to the enhanced, let me get this right. It's the electric grid formula grant related to resiliency. This is Mike Newmark, Administrative Law Judge for the PSC. This is a public hearing, a public comment session here. So we are taking comments from members of the public. We will have a statement from commission staff first, and we can proceed from there. Don't forget, we are accepting comments in writing up until January 31st, either through the commission's website or by US mail. We do have one comment on file so far. And just a brief logistical item here. When people give comments, it's going to be a little bit tricky with the number of people here. So I think I'm going to try to do in this case is have people raise their hand if they do want to make a comment. I think that's available with the options that we've set at this hearing to be able to raise hands. Joe, let's just go off the record for this, but Joe, can you raise your hand, see if that works? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So people who do wish to make a comment, just raise your hand now on the screen, and then that may make this work a little easier here. Okay. All right. So yeah, and so we're off the record, but just so you know, we will take comments in writing still, but to make a live comment today, that would be useful if you could raise your hand now, and just keep it raised. Maybe I should make that clear. Okay, great, thanks. All right, so just a ground rule or two. So we are transcribing the public comments here today. So how we'll work with that, if your hand is raised, I'll call your name, swear you in, and then you can give your comment. I will, and just so you know, while you're commenting, please speak slowly and clearly so we can transcribe what you're saying. Basically, that's all we need for ground rules. Anyone who's speaking, if you have the capability of turning your video camera on, we'd appreciate seeing you. Otherwise, I think we're good to go. So let's get on the record. And I'm going to turn off the screen share. Useful. Okay, so we're going to start our public comments in this docket. At this time, I wanted to call Joe Pater from the Public Service Commission to give commission staff statement. At least I think you're the one giving the statement. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I should confirm that first. But all right, so I'm going to swear you in first. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, great. So just state your name for the record and give your comment, please.
Joe Pater, Director of the Office of Energy Innovation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Again, this is docket 9713 FG 2022, preventing outages and enhancing the resilience of the electric grid formula grant funded by the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law awarded by the U.S. Department of Energy. This public hearing addresses the topic of a new federally funded program focused on grid resiliency at the state and local level. As set forth in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, commonly known as Bill, enacted November 16th, 2021, Section 40101, bracket D, provides a new program titled Preventing Outages and Enhancing the Resilience of the Electric Grid Formula Grants to States and Indian Tribes, commonly referred hereto as the Grid Resilience Program. The bill directs the U.S. Department of Energy, or USDOE, to establish a formula grant program for states and tribes to enhance the reliability of the electric grid by supporting activities to reduce the likelihood, consequences of, and impacts to the electric grid due to extreme weather, wildfire, and natural disaster. Up to 50% of the total funding, $2.5 billion, is being dispersed via that formula. The Office of Energy Innovation, also known as OEI, administers and implements innovative and effective energy planning policy and programming to benefit Wisconsin citizens and businesses. As Wisconsin's designated state energy office, the OEI will receive the formula funding from the US DOE for this grid resilience program. Wisconsin has been allocated 5.1 million for federal fiscal year 2022 and 5.1 million for federal fiscal year 2023. In addition, Wisconsin's 11 federally recognized tribal nations have also received allocations. The formula grant to OEI would support a sub-recipient grant program per requirements set forth by US DOE in guidance released on September 1st, 2022. The OEI will serve as the lead entity for coordinating the necessary commission and US DOE approvals on the design and the implementation of a program to disperse these funds as grants, or commonly called, grants or subawards to eligible entities discussed later in my remarks. This is consistent with its responsibilities, including the delivery of financial assistance programs and energy security programming. For example, the Energy Innovation Grant Program supports renewable energy, energy storage, microgrids, efficiency, and planning projects. In addition, OEI has implemented a program specific to microgrid feasibility studies called the Critical Infrastructure and Community Resilience Center Grant Program. Additional information on the Commission's resiliency efforts throughout the state, including planning exercises, other grant programs, and pilot programs, can be found in the Strategic Energy Assessment, PSC reference 451939, and more information on all of the programming from the Commission is available on the Commission's website at psc.wi.gov. By March 31st, 2023, as part of an application package, the OEI shall provide to US DOE a grid resilience program narrative that describes the criteria and the methods that will be used to make subawards to eligible entities. This hearing is an opportunity to provide input on the potential design of Wisconsin's program. All comments will be added into the Commission record. If you would prefer to make a public comment in writing, an opportunity is open to do so and is currently available in this docket 9713 FG 2022. Additional instructions on how to provide a written comment are provided in the notice of hearing. The comment period will remain open until January 31st, 2023. The expectation is that US DOE will provide feedback and/or approval of the plan before July 1st, 2023. Dependent on feedback and timing, OEI will then continue to scope this program through the Commission processes with a goal to launch the program in late 2023 or early 2024. The primary objective of the Grid Resilience Program is to improve the resilience of the electric grid against disruptive events, which is defined as an event in which operations of the electric grid are disrupted, preventively shut off, or cannot operate safely due to extreme weather, wildfire, or natural disaster. For context, staff notes that in 2020 and 2021, 7 weather events that resulted in $1 billion or more in costs impacted Wisconsin. To achieve these objectives, funding provided by US DOE under this program may be used to implement a wide range of resilience measures intended to mitigate the impact of disruptive events, including these 12 eligible measures, which I will now read. Number 1, weatherization technologies and equipment. Number 2, fire-resistant technologies and fire prevention systems. Number 3, monitoring and control technologies. Number 4, the undergrounding of electrical equipment, utility pole management. I should say, and utility pole management. Number 4, the relocation of power lines or the reconductoring of power lines with low sag advanced conductors. Number 5, vegetation and fuel load management. Number 6, the use or construction of distributed energy resources for enhancing system adaptive capacity during disruptive events. including microgrids and battery storage subcomponents. I think I'm on 7. Adaptive protection technologies. 8, advanced modeling technologies. 9, hardening of power lines, facilities, substations, other systems. And finally, the replacement of old overhead conductors and underground cables. I'll just note that I think our staff had the number 12 in there because we were counting the microgrid and battery storage subcomponents as one each. The measures that I just read are the measures directly from the DOE guidance. So what we just read there is the eligible measures per DOE. And I will continue. So funding may also be used for the training, recruitment, retention, and reskilling of skilled and properly credentialed workers in order to perform the work required for the particular resilience measure listed above and described in the US DOE guidance. And there are the following resilience measures are not allowed, to be clear. The construction of a new electric generation facility, the construction of a large-scale battery storage facility that is not used for enhancing system adaptive capacity during disruptive events, and cybersecurity. We will note that those activities may have other funding opportunities within the bipartisan infrastructure law. States and tribes are required to provide a 15% match, and the eligible entity receiving a grant to perform the eligible resilience measures will be required to provide a 100% match. The only exemption is if the eligible entity sells not more than 4 million megawatt hours of electricity in a year. For those entities, the match required is 1/3 of the amount of the grant. Eligible entities include an electric grid operator, an electricity storage operator, an electricity generator, a transmission owner or operator, a distribution provider, a fuel supplier, and any other relevant entity as determined by US DOE Secretary. Additional program considerations include objectives and metrics, reliability and resilience, good paying jobs, and equity. In addition, the efforts undertaken under this program should have alignment with the state energy security plans developed by states per the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Section 40108 and an all hazards approach to grid resilience. While grant monies under this section cannot fund new cybersecurity investments, the resilience investments under the program should be in alignment with cybersecurity standards and best practices, including the North American Electric Reliability Corporation Critical Infrastructure Protection, which is NERC CIP standards, and National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. As prospective commenters consider program design, they may wish to provide feedback on an overall approach that is either tailored or broad. A tailored approach may be designed around programmatic emphasis that focus the program on one or multiple specific eligible measures in one or multiple specific eligible entities. A tailored approach may maximize the outcomes in one particular sector or technology area. Alternatively, a broader approach to program design may include all eligible measures and entities. In that case, a broad approach may serve as a means to demonstrate need across all technologies and sectors. Commenters may wish to consider the amount of available funds relative to the typical cost of these eligible measures when providing feedback on how best to distribute the funds. Additionally, prospective commenters may wish to provide feedback on specific program design elements, such as which eligible measures would be the most consequential in relation to the resilience objectives. Similarly, commenters may wish to provide feedback on the eligible entity types. For example, feedback could discuss whether certain ones would be more in need of this type of federal funding, or if there are unique challenges to participation among the entity types. Lastly, feedback may cover program design considerations that lead to the best outcome in the other policy objectives of this program, including equity and job creation. Finally, prospective commenters may also wish to consider how this grid resilience program may be scoped to most effectively coexist with and complement additional electric grid related provisions within the bipartisan infrastructure law, which may also be available to eligible entities. For example, the federal government will competitively award grants under multiple separate programs, and these including the Grid Resilience Utility and Industry grants under Section 40101C, which will provide grants for transmission and distribution technologies that increase resilience. The Grid Innovation Program under Section 40103B, which provides grants to support collaborative projects that use innovative approaches to transmission, storage, and distribution infrastructure to enhance grid reliability, resilience, and reliability. And finally, the Smart Grid Grants Program under Section 40107, which supports the deployment of innovative grid technology designed to improve grid performance. This is the end of my remarks. Thank you for your attendance in this hearing, and this concludes my comments.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Joe. I really appreciate that, and you're the poster child for slow and clear. I appreciate your the way you handled that comment, a long comment. All right, so I'm going to look back to the gallery here and ask anyone who wishes to comment at this time to raise their hand. Keep it raised. Okay, we have Jennifer Schilling, looks like. So can you turn your video on? Perfect, there we go. Okay, so you got your microphone. Can you just test out your microphone, please?
Good morning, Jennifer Schilling from Dairyland Power.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, well, go ahead with your comment.
All right. Well, good morning, Public Service Commissioner Huebner and PSC staff. My name is Jennifer Schilling, and I'm the Government Relations Manager at Dairyland Power Cooperative. Thank you for holding the hearing here today on preventing outages and enhancing the resilience of the electric grid formula grant provided by bill by the Department of Energy. Dairyland Power is a generation and transmission cooperative located in La Crosse. We serve cooperative members in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. Dairyland provides the wholesale electric and other services to 24 member distribution cooperatives and 27 municipal utilities in the upper Midwest. We serve 18 member distribution co-ops in Wisconsin, and I note that a couple of our managers are attending the hearing. Dairyland has been purposefully diversifying its generating resources, which currently includes wind, solar, renewable enabling natural gas, coal, hydropower, and biogas. It is an exciting time in the energy sector, and the passage of the BUILD and IRA are providing transformational resources to address carbon reduction and the growth of renewables as important resources for the energy grid. Our mission at Dairyland is to provide our members with safe, reliable, cost-competitive electricity as we transition to a low carbon future. The energy is delivered via the crown jewel of our electric system, our transmission system. We are strengthening our power delivery system and investing in regional transmission opportunities. And by working with other utilities, regional transmission infrastructure will be strengthened to support growing renewable resources while maintaining reliability and adding value for our members. At Dairyland, we are always working to maintain and improve the resiliency of the grid, and we are investing in several of the programs and technologies identified by the Department of Energy. And I would like to highlight several of those areas of interest. The first being monitoring and control technologies. Dairyland is embarking on a load management modernization program that will enhance the visibility and controllability of loads connected to our electric grid. This has the potential to improve reliability by reducing loads during peak periods and preventing system overloads. The system can also enable renewable energy generation by shifting loads to times when renewable energy is more available. For example, when the wind is abundant or sunny days when solar is available. Dairyland and our distribution cooperatives are also working to increase the amount of remote switching available on our transmission and distribution lines to shorten response times when power disruptions occur, especially in rural areas where it can take longer for a switch person to access the remote area. The monitoring and control technologies depend on a robust and modern telecommunication system that supports utility operations. It is important to recognize the investment of a modern fiber system that throughout rural communities to connect the systems so they may communicate effectively. The next area we wanted to highlight was the use of construction or distributed energy resources for enhancing system adaptive capacity during disruptive events, including microgrids and battery storage assets. We are supportive of distributed energy sources, including microgrids and battery storage systems, if the cost for these systems does not significantly drive up costs for our consumer members. Microgrid development or battery storage aspects would help with resiliency in the event of a high impact event to restore power to our customers and members. To the extent that Department of Energy funding can offset costs and make these technologies economical, deployment timelines can be accelerated. The next area is adaptive protection technologies and advanced modeling technologies. We recognize that advanced modeling and adaptive protection technologies are promising from both a system optimization and reliability standpoint. Implementing these innovations will require additional staffing and investments, which is a barrier.
Slow down.
Oh, slow down? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I talked too fast from being in the legislature. Dairyland recognizes, I have to talk fast before I got cut off. Dairyland recognizes that advanced modeling and adaptive protection technologies are promising from both a system optimization and reliability standpoint. Implementing these innovations will require additional staffing and investments, which is a barrier to adoption on rural transmission and distribution systems. Two more points. The hardening of power lines, facilities, substations, and other systems. With recent events in other parts of the country have illustrated the vulnerability of rural substations and other electrical infrastructure to sabotage. Dairyland is interested in best practices for infrastructure protection and hardening. DOE support for these efforts is welcomed. The general hardening of power lines, facilities, and substations would be beneficial. We have addressed a lot of our older equipment, and additional system hardening to remove weaker aspects of the grid would add to the resiliency of the grid as we see more extreme weather events causing outages. For example, the replacement of old overhead conductors is significant for weather resiliency. Generally, when a storm rolls through an area, the older infrastructure is more susceptible to outages as the older lines were built to lower standards. And finally, workforce. As with many industries, attracting a talented workforce and access to well-trained employees is an issue for utilities, and we are actively seeking to increase our visibility and retention of employees. Collaboration with our technical colleges, universities, and even local high schools will help promote interest in fields such as information technology, information systems, engineering, and other STEM fields. We support funding options that allow for the training, recruitment, retention, and reskilling of skilled and properly credentialed workers to perform the work required for evolving technologies utilized in a rapidly changing industry. And that includes working with the trades. This also includes the timely licensing and credentialing by state agencies of applicants, as well as state licensing compacts that recognize multiple state jurisdictions. Thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning and share comments on behalf of Dairyland Cooperative. The next 5 to 10 years will be a time of modernization, innovation, and the introduction of new technologies to assist with the reliability and resiliency of the grid. We must commit to ensuring all corners of Wisconsin, rural and urban, have access to safe, reliable, and cost-effective energy, and that our infrastructure is designed to improve the resilience of the electrical grid against disruptive events. And one last observation with grant applications that we are currently pursuing, I would recommend that the PSC offer free and technical assistance and robust webinars when FOAs are published. I know that DOE and other federal agencies are offering that. We've utilized that through the NTIA for a grant that we utilized. And it has provided beneficial insight as we are looking to put together competitive grants, and it helps on adding additional information and clarification on grant applications. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get off the record for a second. Let your fingers rest a bit. Let's go back to gallery view here. And anyone else wish to make a comment, please raise their hand. No one? Okay, everyone else just observing. All right, let's get on the record. So it appears that I have no one else connected that wishes to make a comment. I'm going once, twice, three times. All right, and I want to remind everyone that written comments are due January 31st. They need to be filed on IRF on that date and received in the mail by that date. So we can put those in the record as well once we get them, and we will forward this record to the commissioners for decision. I'm not sure of the timeline here, but expect a decision. Well, I guess it just goes to DOE. Maybe I'm mischaracterizing that, but just follow what Joe said. I don't know, Joe. Are we getting a commission? Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, just for clarification, our deadline to submit into DOE is March 31st. So you can imagine we have now, or we'll take your comments and everything that comes in on the docket to form the draft plan. And then the plan will be submitted to DOE by, again, March 31st. Our expectation is to receive feedback by around July 1st or maybe prior. And then at that time, we would then begin the scoping process with the commission. And there would be likely, I should say to be determined, but there likely will be another opportunity to comment again on the final scope of this program. And then the commission will make final decisions on what it's, what the timeline is and what it's going to look like, likely in the late summer, I would guess, or maybe early fall.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. Perfect. All right. So again, I look forward to getting your comments in by the 31st. Otherwise, we have all the comments we are here to collect today. And thanks very much, everyone. We're adjourned.